Jeume is one of the most brought up units when people are talking about the future of War of the Vision, so I know a lot of you are pumped up about her release. Let's get to the video. Before we get to the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and don't forget we've got a Mysidia gaming Discord that you can join with a link in the description below. Let's start by talking about Jeume's play style. She is a 100 cost wind physical tank, and she uses high resists, defense, barriers, protect and shell, all to reduce incoming damage. She also has innate hate on her master ability, so you don't have to worry about it. It's there permanently. And then she also has some minor applications as a support and as a debuffer. Jeume's TMR is one of the best parts of her kit. It's a great accessory that provides some HP agility and crit evade. The action ability is a self buff that has 2 uses, and it gives you 20 defense and spirit for 3 turns. That's really strong, and this TMR is going to be great for any tank as well as just any unit that's looking to be more defensive. The fact that you don't have to compromise and sacrifice agility for it is also very nice. This is going to outlast her. Like, it's a really fantastic TMR. Jeume's stats are pretty good, and we're going to compare them to some other physical tanks in a bit, but first, 5,403 HP is good for second in the game. And then 8 innate defense is actually kind of low for a physical tank, but she has a passive that makes up for that. She also has 63 agility, which is high for a tank, and then her AP is average. And otherwise, like the rest of her stats, they all look like fine. They're all like okay stats. You may be curious if Jeume needs to go to level 120 or if you can slow build her from 115, because King Mon actually, like, honestly could have been left at 115. We don't use his job level 25 skill that often at all, but with Jeume it's a little bit different. She gets 513 HP when you go to 120, and then overall no other big stat changes. However, that job level 25 skill is a solid attack. It has a 25 single target resistant self buff as well. It's got that sweet range of it's an AoE with like a decent range, but it's also a 24 AP cost, so she's going to use it quite a bit, and the fact that it gives 25 self single target resist is just so powerful. So yeah, you got to take Jeume to 120. Next, let's talk about Jeume's survivability, and this is really the hallmark of her kit, the fact that she can just take so much physical damage. She has great slash, pierce, and missile resists, and her hate up skill that she uses in battle is also going to provide protect and shell, and protect and shell don't come off a unit easily. They're a 25% damage reduction. She also has a 3-turn physical reduction barrier, 3 turns. So if they don't have a barrier break, that's sticking around, and it's just all bundling together for a ton of damage reduction. And then she can even absorb some damage on her Storm Sword attack. I don't really know how much that's going to be. I can't imagine it's going to be that much, or that she'll use that attack that often, but either way, she also has a very interesting passive. So this passive increases the defense, slash resist, and pierce resist of Jeume by 5% every time she takes damage. The total amount that it can increase is 15% total. This passive also just gives flat increases of 15 to defense and 10 to slash and pierce resist. So overall, once you've taken damage 3 times, you will have a total of 30 to defense, and then also 25% to slash and pierce resist. So it's slow to build, but obviously when you get to the end, it's quite powerful. And then finally, you might think that strike and magic are potential areas to target for Jeume. She can make up for it. I mean, with this resist passive, you can build some spirit and some magic resist if the meta is leaning that way, or you could build, I mean, strike resist is kind of tougher to build. I wouldn't be surprised if strike resist was like a global exclusive effect on the Ahriman card for Jeume, but we'll see what that brings. Jeume also has a little bit of team support. Dual resist on the Nightblade is good for that missile and pierce resist buff, and then she can also break agility, which is also 100% hit attack. She can break single target resist by 30%, which is a huge amount. It's going to just be able to enable all of your other DPS. If you're, have tank versus tank, or maybe you're doing PvE, whatever it is, it's going to be huge. She can also reduce counter chance, again, very, very valuable for setting up your DPS to get around Aeon Bonds and those pesky reflexes. And then, also that 100% hit attack is perfect It's perfect for finishing off Elena and Zazan. Whenever their courage procs, that's going to kill them for sure. And then the sub-job skill, Wind Area, is going to give 20% slash resist penetration and 30 crit evasion to allies. So the fact that if you put her in a slash team that she can enable people to get through slash resist is really cool to see on a unit, and that's something I'm actually very interested in. It gives her applications in a lot of teams, and not just the Wind team, but into any slash team. So you know, that's pretty tempting right there. We've also got to talk fun facts for Jeume. She can actually reach 3 jump through her passives, but if you do that, that means that you're not using that resistance passive. So it's really kind of a you know, a map dependent thing. You also have the ring that we recently got to get some more jump too. So you can go to 4 jump if you really want to. And then we have Dragon Standard for 1 move, 1 jump for manual play. AP Drain and ST Imperil are going to be really useful for PvE, and I mean even for manual again. And then also resistant to disable is just a very, very strong resistance to have. I like that quite a bit. Jeume's LB is pretty strange. It's got your typical 200 times potency and a 443 AP cost. It has a big wide AoE, and then it increases slash attack by 35% for 3 turns. But I don't really think that this is necessary for Jeume, and it's kind of an AP sink. So I'd rather her, you know, set up a bunch of stun blades or use her big AoE to reduce agility and like whatever it is that she's gonna do. I just don't really see the benefit of doing this. You're not building her for damage. Her attack isn't that high anyway. So maybe there's an application for a damaged Jeume that you would want to have this active, but for the most part, I think you just turn this off and you don't worry about leveling it up. Let's compare Jeume to some other physical tanks, and I've chosen Montleonis and Engelbert as the 2 units we'll compare to. So Jeume has more mitigation than both of these tanks. Like, she has her Protect and Shell, she has her barrier, and she can build up some pretty massive resistances. However, it's gonna take time to do that. She's gonna lack those raw resists or innate defenses that, you know, Mont has, and certainly Engelbert has a ton. And then Engelbert's gonna approach with things like Sentinel, where his low agility means he doesn't go for a while, but he has this Sentinel buff up for a super long time. So at the start of a fight, Jeume's not gonna be as strong as a physical tank as these two, but she is gonna grow more defensive than both of them over time, while still having mobility, still having better agility than Engelbert, better applications attacking, better applications debuffing or like supporting party members with actual abilities than Engelbert. So she has that nice balance between being super tanky, but then also being able to help your team out. Now with Mont, I feel like Mont's easier to build against you know, magic users, because he has things like that 15 and 8 AoE resist. He has 0 magic resist, but then he also has the elemental resist. He has a 30% reaction proc that reduces all damage, whereas Jeume has a 20% reaction proc and it's only physical damage. So I think Mont's going to be a better all-rounder, and he also does have that higher agility, the higher mobility with Shikuchi than Jeume does, but Jeume is overall going to be a better physical tank than Mont, and she has some more interesting applications for helping teams, especially with the evade meta and the 100% hit attack, being able to hit like a wide range of evade units, especially ones with courage. I think that Jeume's got like more application at this time. At the end of the day, I think if you have King Mont, then you don't necessarily need Jeume. I mean, Mont also has the 3 different status effect build where you just go Berserk, Disable, and Stun Blade, and he just procs all of those constantly. Jeume isn't able to do something like that. Now, again, she still has other applications where she can be finishing off or debuffing your opponents so that you can kill them more easily with a single target resist debuff. But at the end of the day, I think if you have either one of these tanks, you're in a really good spot. And if you have Engelbert in a mono light team, then you're still in a good spot too, because he's great. Let's talk pros and cons for Jeume, and we'll start with the pros. She has Protect and Shell, which are just so hard to remove, so those are really, really strong abilities for a tank to have. And the 3-turn barrier is also very very appealing if your opponent does not have a barrier break, because that's with barriers, oftentimes like a 3 or 2 hit skill can help you get through a barrier. It's like a pseudo barrier break. That's not going to help with this, so it's very strong, paired with the protect and shell, of course. And then lots of TP skills to choose from, which is a good problem to have. Now, of course, you think like, wow, her TMR is so good, but you want her to use her TMR to make up for that, lack of innate spirit or defense. And you also want her to use her hate up skill. You also want her to maybe buff the slash resist penetration, or what, she has many different things that she can do with her TP buffs. Figuring out what the most important ones are for each matchup is going to be important. There's a bit of a learning curve there. I think that's kind of cool. And then she's going to be so strong paired with a healer, because even with a bunch of resists, if you take 3 hits without a healer, you're probably dying. So, you think, oh, her resist passive is so good, but it really paired with a healer is what's going to make it so strong, because once she gets healed up to full or full life or something, and she has that passive on, she's going to be just ultra strong. Actually, I should probably confirm that sticks through death. It might not. And then, so just so you know, Jeume's going to be a very strong physical tank. Now, when we talk about the cons, the defense isn't going to help up against the magic-based attacks. So that's not just mages, it's also Jaden, it's also Elena. Ibarra and Helena are going to be just like pounding her with magic attacks. And that's where her TMR comes in handy. You can build something like Knight's Armor for 20 Spirit, and then you put her TMR on. That's 40 Spirit all of a sudden. Now you're not looking so bad. This is kind of it's not a huge con, but only has a Stun Blade for status effects to take an opponent out of the fight. Not every tank has that. Dwayne and Mont are the big ones that can do that, but it's always nice to have one of those options where you can build AI very specifically to just do that, and you can do that with her, but she has other things that she can do as well. So she needs time to build those defense and slash, pierce resist, single target resist. Like, she doesn't walk into a fight having them. She has to get hit 3 times. She has to hit somebody with her skill so that she can buff her single target resist. That doesn't just happen. It takes time. So, if you can get after her early, that might be the way to kill her. And then she only has that 20% counter instead of a 30% counter, and it's only physical damage. This isn't a huge deal, but it is something that was on my radar, because other tanks have gotten, very specific buffs, or a lot of tanks have gotten the 30% buff. So, for her to only get 20% was a surprise, but to be honest, a welcome one, because they really started to hand those things out like lollipops. It's the end of the video, and I have to tell you whether or not you should pull, and guess what? Jeume is an easy yes. If you are in the market for a physical tank, or you have a wind heavy account, then she's just going to be a really great choice for you. If you have King Mont like I do, then you have the option of saving your Visior, and that's personally what I've chosen to do. I'm not going to be pulling on her. I'm going to be saving for Golbez, and I'm saving for Sedia, another warrior of the crystal. Now, I want to mention something. I keep mentioning that I'm saving for Golbez, and just so you're all aware, it's not because I think he's like some game-breaking unit that's going to just tear the place up. He's a personal favorite character of mine. I'm just going to pull for him because I like him. So don't like get stuck thinking like, oh, Mysidia is really hyped for Golbez. Yeah, because I like him. Okay. So Jeume's going to have a limited time banner, but it's going to return each month. There's going to be a pity, I think, in the form of coins, and then there's a new wind VC coming. I don't think it's going to be essential for her. It gives some single target resist on the bestowed, and then magic resist on the party. So it's a good wind VC in general. But if you're pulling Jeume and you're just going to use her in a rainbow team or something, or not necessarily in a wind team, it's not like a lot of these cards where it's going to be super essential for her, except if it has a global upgrade, in which case then you got to keep an eye on it, because if it's a really good global upgrade for Jeume, then it might very well be the like pairing card where you put that and that card on her, and then you just stick her in whatever team you want, and it does what it needs to do. So keep an eye on that, and let me know what you thought about the video, if it was useful for you, if you enjoyed it. Let me know what your plans are for Jeume. I know I'm going to get a lot of you saying that you're so excited to pull, so also check back with me when you pulled. Let me know how it went. I love hearing those stories. I love it when I get to read someone's comment and it's just like, oh, 1 pull, 2 pulls, whatever, got it on the step up, and that always makes me smile. So please check back in. I appreciate that, and then otherwise we'll see ya in the next video.